It's been 3 weeks. You've been looking for your friend. Do 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 do. That's making the case. Can't lose if you don't quit. Hit that pen. What is going on? What's good, Rod? What's good, Alicia? What's good, Averiel? What's going on, Lene? What is going on, you guys? Welcome to Making the Case. I'm so excited. Yo, I hope you guys are having a good week. I know right now a lot of people are either one still feeling the effects of the LSAT that, of course, we took this past week. I hope everything went well. You know, we got graduations coming up for folks that's graduated from law school. And, of course, we got people right now that are sitting there in this gray area, waiting, trying to figure out what's going to happen next. I want you guys to understand the power that you have and also be able to learn how to utilize that power to manifest your dreams. Listen, man, everybody out there is sitting there waiting. This is your prime opportunity to do something that everybody else isn't. After working with so many students this week, some students, instead of waiting, they've already secured interviews with deans, secured interviews with admissions directors, scheduled visits. So listen there, man, you got to move with purpose. You got to move because guess what? In this journey of becoming a lawyer, fam, if you're going to be scared, man, somebody else is going to take your opportunity. You have to learn how to hustle. You have to learn how to grind. Ain't none of this passive stuff. What's going on, Sage? I want you guys to let me know where it is that you're viewing our session from. Of course, I'm holding it down over here in Missouri, Southwest. I want you guys to let me know where you're viewing our session from. My man said Rising 1L. Let's get it, King. That's what I'm talking about. And nevertheless, yo, I want you guys to understand that the grind and the hustle that you guys may be reluctant to do is something that's going to become your new way of life. I'm really excited about one of the guests that we have coming on today. Sis is one of one. Sis, I put it like this, fam. When you go and hang your own shingle and do your own damn thing, you definitely doing something right. In Atlanta for a minute, and I've seen her content. I hope you guys have seen her content in our stories. Her name is Attorney Joanna Boyd, and sis is going to be joining us tonight. And so I want you guys to utilize this as an opportunity to ask questions and also to get some answers. Because oftentimes, I want you guys to realize this is a space for you to be able to not only learn about people's successes, but also learn how people utilize challenges and grew from them and was able to take the next step in their journey. We got H-Town holding it down. We got Miami in the house. Of course, we got ATL. So let's go ahead and get Joanna on and make this thing happen. And so Flatbush, what's good? We got New York in the house. That's what's up. All right. What is going on, sis? How we doing today?
Hey there, how's it going? I'm doing well.
I am blessed. I'm so excited to be able to have you here.
Um,
Like I said before, I said you're one of one. People who actually go out there and bet on themselves, hang their own shingle, and be successful, even during the pandemic, clearly they're doing something. And so I really wanted to give you the floor first off to go ahead and introduce yourself, let them know who you are and how you and what you're doing.
well, my name is Attorney Joanna Boyd. I own a family law firm in Decatur, Georgia. We service all of Metro Atlanta, so Clayton County and Fulton County, and so on and so forth. Um, I started practice back in 2020, actually in the middle of the pandemic. I heard you mention that. Yeah. And it's been going really well. We do have a focus on fathers' rights. We do service women as well, but we're definitely passionate about getting dads to their children, back to their children, or just getting them the rights that they're supposed to have.
Absolutely. Now, of course, everybody can see the website, seeing you doing your damn thing, seeing you on Instagram with the killer reels and everything else like that. But oftentimes, one of the things I oftentimes start with, but where did you first realize that, man, me and law, we got something going on?
I hate to say it. I'm really good at arguing. I'm really good at arguing and fussing. And it occurred to me that I could actually get paid for that. I would plead cases even when I was a little girl, trying to make my case because I want more money from my dad or whatever the case may be. And I realized early on that it would be something that I eventually want to do.
And I know one of the things oftentimes, a lot of times during this journey, I tell people and I try to encourage our aspiring lawyers, let them know there's a lot of ups, but hell, but to get to those ups, man, there's a lot of
Oh
downs
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Oftentimes, one of those biggest battles I tell people, the biggest challenge is you being able to realize, you know what, I'm going to figure it out. And so, what would you say for you was like one of the biggest challenges that you had to overcome? Let's say it. Let's not even get. Let's start before we even got the license.
Hmm.
Let's talk about when you were just a dreamer. What
Um,
were some of the biggest just getting to the point of getting accepted into law school?
yeah, yeah. Huh. So you have to write what's called, if I recall, I believe it's called a personal statement. And they don't give you much guidance on that. They just tell you, why should we let you into school? And so it took a lot of thinking and, it's a lot of pressure because they're not going to let everybody in. You just want your story to stand out. And I realized that just being authentic is the best way to go. Not only does it come off naturally, but you usually draw, to you whatever is intended for you. And that's the approach I took there. I had to write it a couple of times. It took a while. I had a few people look over it and everything before I could submit it. I also had another issue choosing schools. I'm not sure your typical law student. I didn't go, straight from high school to college, straight from college. No, no, no. I was 30 years old when I yeah. So night school and then I was working full time. It was just a lot, but it's not something that can't be done. That's for
Hold on,
sure.
let's pull it back for a second because the thing that's amazing is often it's a lot of people who are in those similar situations, and they oftentimes think, man, I just posted this, Joe, and I posted a story. A 60-year-old man went back to school and got his college degree,
Nice.
and that's amazing. And often, a lot of times in our mind, we've had this cookie cutter image of
Mhm.
timeline of how it's supposed to go,
Mhm.
and then, well, you know what, man, I see Joanna doing it big. I'm sure she didn't have it hard, but you went to night school. So I want you to go ahead and tell people what that process was like, because I think oftentimes what's also amazing being able to realize in that point it becomes very important for you to be able to have that confidence in yourself.
hmm Well, I worked full time. I actually had a job as a paralegal, so I would work from 8 to 5 every day. I get off at work every day and head straight to school. And classes from 6 to sometimes 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night. And of course, you have all this reading and homework you have to do and keep up with. So I'm usually up pretty late, and you get up and do it all over again. I will say this: my last semester, excuse me, my last semester in law school, I was pregnant. Funny story. I was actually 8 months pregnant when I sat for the bar exam. Just to add insult to injury, right? 8 months pregnant when I sat for that bar. I was 6 months pregnant when I started studying for it. So that was a roller coaster in and of itself. And we're talking 17-hour days of just studying for those 8 weeks.
And so y'all out there who thinking, man, it's hard. That must be a sign from God that I need to quit.
Mm-mm.
That's cap, man. If it's hard, that's a sign. You know what, man? I got to do some growing. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
I got a little comfortable because a lot of times that's what happens is it requires that change. And the thing is, those things that become so important that you think are the end of the world, like the LSAT, or even like personal statements,
Mm-hmm.
after you get past it, you're gonna block it out, like my girl just said right
Mm-hmm.
here. The personal statement. Yeah,
Whatever it's
I
called.
and so I love having these conversations because I think it's important at times for aspiring lawyers, especially for them to see people who look like them doing their damn thing and
That's
make
right.
it happen. And so one of the things also, oftentimes I feel like in law school, they kind of like condition you, you want to go big law, you want to go work for somebody. Which I can
Mhm.
understand. But when did it come for you? It's like, you know what, man, I think I could do this on my own.
Yeah. That's a question. I'm sorry. You said when did it come for me to say I could do?
But
Oh, getting out on my own. Oh yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I'm myself.
So honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is what really happened. I was working for a guy. I was working for this guy as an associate attorney, and we had an arrangement to where if I bring in clients, I would get additional funds on top of my salary. So of course, I'm trying to take advantage of that. I'm from here. I'm from Georgia. I'm from Atlanta. And so a lot of people, as soon as I was able to practice, I got a lot of different calls for all kind of stuff just because they know that I'm an attorney. And I kind of leveraged that. So I was bringing in clients, and it got to the point where I felt like I was bringing in more clients than he was bringing. So I tried to sit down and talk to him. And during that time, that was when COVID first really hit too. So we were doing I started doing like mobile closings on the side. They needed attorneys to help close, real estate transactions. And I was doing that on the side, and it was generating a ton of money. So I brought that to my boss. I said, hey, I know things are slow because of COVID. Everybody's on lockdown. I want to show you this side job I've been doing. I think the firm would benefit. And the man sat there and told me, he said, I tell you what, why don't you get the clients and bring them in? You can do the closings and I'll give you 10%.
Ha ha! Ha ha!
I I quit the same day.
Ha
I
ha!
quit. I quit the same day. Them little clients I had, I went ahead and opened JG Boyd Law. I took those few clients with me, and I built it from there.
Wow. Wow. And so I hope you guys are able to understand. And when you're thinking about how to apply this to you, it's just like, man, in this game, man, you got to pivot. You got to
Mhm.
find a way to be able to eat. Now, Alexandra put her hand up laughing over here. What? I mean, literally, like, one of the things spoken to be successful as an attorney, but you definitely have to learn how to advocate for yourself. And so one of the things is, so you mentioned closing. So I'm sure some people may not understand what it is. So tell them what regards to about the closings, how that worked, how you're able to do that, and also tell them about how the traditional breakdown comes down in regards to how you get your money when you work as an associate.
Okay. Well, there's different ways to get money as an associate. I'll start with closing. So, a closing takes place when somebody purchases a house or sells a house, or if they refinance. And during COVID, everybody was on lockdown. And so what took place was, and here in Georgia, you have to have an attorney
Right.
to close. You can't do it without. Some states are different, but here you have to have a closing attorney. And so they were looking for attorneys who'd be willing to go from house to house to do these closings because nobody was coming out to law offices during COVID.
Mm.
And so that's how I got on doing that. And the less amount of attorneys they had, the more you ask for. And that's just how it goes. That's just you start bidding on prices and kind of run it up. Um, as an associate, you just have to find the right
Yeah.
firm. You have to find a firm that you believe in. You have to find a firm that you believe would allow you to grow, that'll teach you. I will tell you, law school doesn't teach you how to practice law
Right.
at all. If anything, law school is going to teach you how to think. I think differently from the day I started law school. My thought process is completely different. They're going to teach you that in the beginning, and it teaches you how to attack different problems, how to address a problem whenever you face it. Um, but the practice itself, you're gonna learn when you get out there. Nobody graduates law school knowing how to do it. I was fortunate enough to be a family law paralegal, so it gave me a bit of an advantage because now not only was I getting the legal education, but I was in the field. So that worked out. If you can find a good position as maybe a law clerk or anything like that, even if it's part time while you're in school, it's gonna work wonders for you when you come out.
Did y'all catch that, Jim? Right. So listen, man. In this game, you gotta be able to build experience. And
Hmm.
it's not going to be gifted to you. The traditional route of just going to school, yeah, that's still going to help you learn the structure. But the only way, almost to a degree, I feel like as soon as you come out, almost to a degree, I feel like you're paying to get experience. So
Hmm.
you in exchange for a salary as an associate, you're getting that exposure and you're getting that experience.
Hmm.
And that's constant. And so the thing that was amazing about this sis right here, yo, is she already had experience already. And that's something that you can be able to go out and get by literally just shooting your shot. I tell people, sis, like, man, if we can go into people's DMs about shoes and bundles, man, we can go into some people's DMs asking, yo, I'm providing free services.
Hmm.
Holler at me. What's going on? Where can I work? Where can
Yep.
I volunteer? And if someone
Yep.
says no, it ain't gonna hurt. But what if they say yes?
Exactly. Or what if you can get paid? Because there's people out here. I'm always looking for help. We're hiring all the time. It's just one of those fields that has very high turnover, and after about your first or second year of law school, you've learned how to do legal writing. It becomes beneficial. Even if it's just part time, because this is not one of those things you want to have to work while you're doing law school. But if you could do something, that's what I would do for sure.
Now, being that I lived in Atlanta, went to school in Atlanta. Atlanta, of course, is a much smaller place than we actually
Right.
realize. You know what I mean?
It's very small.
Everybody, and so I wonder. One of the things I think that's amazing about the area of family law is because Atlanta is a small place, you kind of see everybody,
Oh yeah.
familiar with everybody in some way, one degree of connection with everybody.
Mhm.
How do you go about setting those boundaries in family law where things could get, very love and hip hop is real quick?
I don't set boundaries. I'm the love and hip hop. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Yeah, no, you just kind of, law is all about professionalism.
Yeah.
You're gonna take whole courses on just being professional and ethics. Those are the boundaries. We still have to answer to the Georgia bar. That's something to think about. You want to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and not doing anything you're not supposed to be doing. And of course, we all kind of know each other, especially when we're talking black, and even when we're talking black women. I think black women make up 2%, 2% of the entire legal community. So it's a handful of us, and we all know each other. And some of them are cool, and some of them are not. But you kind of stick together. I mean, it's a small group of us anyway. Yeah.
And the thing is, I always love stories. Like we had a judge on a couple of months ago, and she talked about she had to realize it's like, dang, people know who I am. So she's like, I don't. She said I only vacation out of the state or out of the country
Hmm.
because she talked about this time where somebody came and stalked her and pulled up on her at Blockbuster.
Mm.
Oh, I was like, man, that's crazy.
Right.
And I just wonder because Atlanta's a small place. Like, how is it when you like? Because you go about people, you see that double look, you be like, oh God, they know who I am. How do you go about? Hey, what's going on? No, no free legal advice. No, not right.
People don't usually ask me for free legal. I've learned how to kind of avoid that very politely. But I do run into quite a few people who recognize me, and I like it though, because we're always marketing. We're always trying to get our name out there. We want to help as many people as we possibly can, and so I just think it's a blessing. I think it's a good problem to have. To be honest, if I were in another state where I didn't know anybody, I would literally be starting from scratch, and that's scary. I mean, you can do it, but it just seems like more work.
And it's kind of cool. Sometimes I look at our Instagram accounts now. It's like
Hmm.
running commercials. You cut on the TV, you see a running commercial, what's going on, and things like that.
Hmm.
And so, oh, I know you can't speak specifically, but what's been some of the most memorable experiences you had thus far in your practice?
Oof. These cases, family law is very emotionally driven. And these cases sometimes pull tons of heartstrings, and you just got all kind of twists and turns. And anytime I can reunite somebody with their children, it's always a blessing. And it's probably like my best, some of my best work is helping these kids get back to their family for
What's
sure.
been some of the craziest things that's ever happened? You're like, oh my God.
I wouldn't even know what it. I mean, they're all so crazy. I wouldn't even know where to start. We did have one guy who had been taking care of his daughter for years. I think the baby was about 11. And the mom went to jail for some time. That's how the baby ended up with him. He finally got around to legitimizing the baby, and we had to do a DNA test. Do you know this wasn't his child that he's been taking care of 11 years?
Wow.
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 That's what we all said was wow. Because what do you do after that? You know,
At that point, the DNA really don't mean anything anymore, even though it does.
it does by law, it does. But it'll be up to mom to try to kind of figure out how to work some sort of schedule where he can stay in touch with the baby, or he could take one step further and file a different type of case to give him access to that child. He didn't want to go that route though. He was very broken about it, and I still think about it sometimes because it's a lot of guys out there that are going through that, a lot more than I'd like to admit.
And one of the things I think that's so special about your practice specifically is that you really provide a space for men. where they could feel as if they could be able to get that help and that support. And I think that's something that's quite rare. What was something specifically that drew you? Is like, to think, because I don't know. I think, like, for example, when I look at it, she must really have a thing about making sure, or had situation. What made you say, I want to help men be able to connect with their children?
I just
What happened?
I know how impactful my dad was in my life. Before I lost my father when I was 15, and I can see a spiral in my behavior, in the way, in hindsight. Of course, when you're 15, you think everything is fine, and when you out, hanging out doing grown folk stuff, you think that's cool and everything too. Hindsight, though, I can see where it really affected me, and I have a lot of friends, um, who had difficulty building a relationship with their dad, who's been affected by that. And I just think it's super important, not just in family law, it's just important for our society. These statistics are real, and nobody's really paying attention to how it affects a family to be missing that piece. You
Mm,
need dads. There are other cultures are really big on having both parents, and when you look at our culture, it's almost become a norm to have single parent homes, and it's not cool at all. It's not, and it kind of exposes children to a disadvantage before they even get a chance. And it's something that we're fighting one case at a time, and just trying to make people aware of how important it is.
absolutely. And I mean, I commend you for that. I think it's amazing. And I ain't gonna lie, sis. Sometimes you're looking at your reels, I'll be like, yeah, yeah, let's go, let's go. Talking about, and I see Alex talking about you. She's talking about your tagline. Let them see that child. So, sis, tell us, how did
Hmm.
that come about? What happened to make you? How did that get created?
I literally just said it one day, and I stuck with it because I mean that's what it boils down to, right? You get in these situations where people are emotional, and I mean I'm human too. People tend to make decisions. Women in general tend to think emotionally. I think men tend to be a lot more practical than women are, and there are studies that talk about that I've read over. But when you're dealing with that as it relates to this, you're looking at making poor decisions based on how you feel, and you see it so often, and it's so easy for us women to have the upper hand because we're having children out of wedlock, right? And here in Georgia, you have a child out of wedlock. Mom already has sole custody. So now it's this uphill battle to get rights that you probably should have already had to begin with, just coming out the gate.
Wow.
And I've noticed that courts generally would, you give women a lot of grace. It could be my first child and it's still like, oh, the baby needs her mom. You get a dad and it's like, oh, he ain't never had no kids. He don't know what to do. He can't do this and that. But we get all this grace, you know what I mean? And an opportunity to learn. And I think it should be both ways. I think that both parents should have the opportunity to be great parents, and it goes downward from there
Yeah.
as opposed to having to work your way up.
Now, one of the things I think is also amazing, I want you to be able to talk about
Hmm.
is, of course, we do know that there's a lot of lawyers everywhere.
Hmm.
And so, what did you do in regards to your strategy or marketing to help yourself stand out amongst the crowd?
I found my niche for one. I've been trying to hold myself out to be the go-to when it comes to fathers' rights, and that's been helpful. A lot of people spread themselves too thin.
Yeah.
As far as even outside of family law, I know people that practice 2 and 3 and 4 different fields of law, and it's like you can't possibly know everything about all four, right? As opposed to you boiling down and becoming the expert on one in particular issue. So that helped a lot, and just being myself. Sometimes God has plans for you and you don't really know where those plans are going. You just kind of go with it.
Mm.
And so it's just been a blessing. I never said, hey, I'm gonna have X amount of clients, but here we are, and that's how you know you're on the right track.
I guess this thing is kind of full circle moment, right? When we're in the challenge or in the midst of a struggle, we're
Hmm.
like, man, God, where you at? What's going
Hmm.
on? I thought you looking out.
Hmm.
First, he's 20 steps ahead of you. I got you. Let's keep the faith.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, sis. Where would you be right now if that attorney, I wouldn't call him a shyster, but that attorney that employed her would have said something differently? We wouldn't
Right.
think
I don't know.
about it.
Yeah. I
It-
have no idea. Probably still slaving for somebody else and pushing their brand. It's just, You want to be around like-minded people, and it makes it easier. You know, your life shouldn't be about work. It's not. I want it to be passionate about what I do. I want it to care about what I do. And even if I'm working for someone else, if their values don't line up with mine, then I'm not being true to myself every day anyway. So
So let's keep it. That means you already knew your foot was going the other way.
it was, yeah. I was like, let me get some
God,
experience.
oh God already had the 2 weeks notice written out. Oh,
Hmm.
I appreciate it. Go.
Yep, that's all I needed. I've heard what I needed to hear. That's all I needed.
And so oftentimes on our journey, I know that people kind of go through challenges.
Hmm.
And oftentimes those challenges require you to make changes. Like in your journey, what have been some of the changes that you've had to make? I tell people all the time, I said, it ain't about the LSAT. It ain't really about the bar. It's about you having to look in the mirror and say, is this something you want?
Hmm.
It's something you want. You got to do something different. So what's
Hmm.
some of the big changes that you have to make to be able to get to where you are now?
Just being disciplined. Being an attorney is hard in and of itself, but being a business owner brings on a totally different level of accountability and having to put in the work. I probably work more than the average. I think when I first started my firm, I was doing 12-hour days. I still had the baby, and then you had to kind of build marketing. Yeah, I had to kind of learn, these things. Nobody teaches you these things, and I think they should, but for some reason, oftentimes older people who are doing this are not necessarily handing out gems. Some of this stuff you're gonna have to bump your head and figure it out as you go. I've learned a lot along the way. If I had to do it all over, knowing what I know, I'll probably do it twice as good, twice as fast. Um, yeah, I can't even. I can't even explain how much work it is to have to do it and kind of keep a level head and make sure you're doing the right thing. And it is about the bar. I think the bar keeps all of us attorneys in line. That's like the worst nightmare is losing your license because you dropped the ball. You know what I'm saying? You're keeping up with deadlines. You're making sure you're filing what you're supposed to be filing, where it's supposed to be filed. You're making sure your clients are submitting what they need to be submitting. All of that stuff it could be stressful, and is what you signed on for. So you just got to kind of hang in there and be disciplined enough to get up and do the work.
And I think also one of the beautiful things that happens is I feel like at the start, you're trying to figure this out by yourself.
Hmm.
But then as you ascend, you begin to value learning. I got to ask for help. You know what? I can't do this by myself. Because I see one of the questions someone said, how did you go about doing with the work life balance? And I think what it is you had to grow comfortable being like, okay, I put the system in place. I have to be able to trust and branch out to extend and ask for help.
Hmm.
So, how about achieving that work balance? Because I think oftentimes people have to accept if you're waiting for the perfect time, sis, fam, you're going to be waiting forever.
Oh yeah, there is no such thing. There is no such thing. You gotta jump off the porch and ask God to make sure you land land on your feet. And you just keep going. Sometimes you just gotta leap out there on faith. It's a real thing.
So, like for example, like for you guys out there who may be in the early part of the process,
Hmm.
understand the value of asking for help. I know a lot of like for example, Joanna talked about how she asked for help. Hey, yo, can you look at this personal statement? Can you check this out? And then, of course, when you get to law school, of course, a lot of it is you figuring it out, but also you understanding the value of going to your resources.
Hmm.
Hey, they got the answers. I'm not gonna sit here and struggle. Let me go ask them for help too.
Hmm.
Then when you pass the bar, then when he goes about getting clients, all those things are about asking for help and getting related.
Hmm.
How has that space been? What would you say to somebody out there who's hella nervous, who really is not really experienced in the networking game? Because love it or like it, man, networking is just a part of life when it comes to becoming a lawyer.
That's very true. I'm fortunate enough to be. I was a hustler anyway. I can I sell anything anyway, and that's just me, and that's great. But what I've learned is that some things we're not as good at, but there are people who are experts in that field. It's nothing that you have to do that somebody can't do. And there's nothing wrong with delegating to ask somebody who's even better at what it is you're trying to do it for you or to help you do it. And that's how you get by, because not there's not a person out there that can literally do everything.
I think I've literally never. We've had lawyers, judges on. Everybody say, "Man, I'm a hustler at heart." I guess last week, since he was like, "Man, I was selling cars." I think it's on the line. He's like, "I was selling cars in Atlanta," and so
Hmm.
you have to learn how to hustle in this game. That's how you eat. That's how you make it. Because literally at the end of the day, ain't nobody gonna gift you nothing. You're gonna have to work for it. You complaining, "Oh, it's tiring. And this is what you asked for, and this is what you prayed to God
Yeah.
for. Like, go ahead and wipe those tears and get to work."
And get up and yeah, get up and get it done. It doesn't stop at law school, and it doesn't stop when you first start that practice. So you just got to keep going. You keep going, and you be thankful for where you are. Sometimes you have to look back just to
Yeah,
be thankful, to say, look at where I am now, and it's working and it's worth it.
I think that's something that's so amazing. We'd be like, "Man, I know where I want to go, but dang, how far I come from?" It's amazing. And so I got a question in the chat. I want to let you answer it. It said, "How can someone shadow a family lawyer in law school?" I'll let you take that question, sis.
um, I would send out my resume. You can pull up different family law firms in your area. I would email my resume, hey, I'm interested in shadowing or doing some internship work for your firm. And you'll get a response. Because we can always use a hand. I don't know about shadowing, just following me around. I'm definitely gonna put you to work. Matter of fact, send me the resume. You
You
can do
said,
all the
"Baby,
shadowing. I got
huh?"
your shadow. send send me the resume. We'll help you get your hands dirty.
And I want you guys to be able to understand. Oftentimes I think what it is, a lot of people are afraid.
Mhm.
They're afraid of rejection. And I tell people, I don't think I've ever heard, and sis, I done went up to people when I was on in my journey. Ain't nobody ever cursed me out and say, "Get out my face. You ain't gonna shadow me." I
No, no, people are not like that. Not generally.
And
Yeah.
one of the things that I think is kind of amazing, and you kind of touched on it, is it almost because of there's so little representation of
Hmm.
warriors who look like me or you, it kind of brings its own type of camaraderie, its own type of tribe where people look out for each other. And I want to know, like, for example, on your journey thus far, how has it been in regards to being able to help other aspiring lawyers? So I'd be like, you like, wow, I'm sure that's amazing.
I've reached out to a few. I've had a few people, call and ask questions or shoot me an email, and I always try to reach back out because I remember having to reach out for help and assistance myself. Um, the absolute best advice I can give to anyone who's going through this journey is you have to know for a fact that this is what you
Yeah.
want. You have to know that this is what you want and that you'll be willing to do anything it takes to get it. I know people who took the bar exam 3 and 4 times before they passed, and it's a drag, So you have to know that this is what you want 100%, and you have to know that whatever it takes, you'll keep going.
Yeah. And I guess the thing is, you don't learn it first with the LSAT. You begin to learn, like, if you're trying to stunt and shine on the gram, that's why you want to become a lawyer. Then this ain't gonna be
Oh,
the field for you,
oh
because
yeah, no.
the stunting and stuff that may happen, once a month, but leading up to it is a lot of work that goes in between. And so, one of the other things I always like to end our show off of, and I want to first again thank you for joining us. Uh, Make sure to tell your marketing team thank you for exchanging with me. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Is right now in this season, it's a lot of people who are waiting to hear from schools. Ain't heard nothing. You know how it is when you go through that process in the law schools.
Yeah.
Took your
Yeah.
money and said, "All right, we'll get back to you later." And who just now, man, took the LSAT and things didn't go
like,
good.
like they thought. Hmm.
And since my DMs are filled with people like, "I don't know what to do. Should I quit?" And I want you to tell them an encouraging word, to let them know why they shouldn't quit. Why,
Absolutely not. You don't quit because the LSAT is stupid. It's dumb. I don't know why they still do it. It's a standardized exam. Most people are not good with standardized tests anyway. And then it's like always two right answers. I promise you, once you get the best score you can on there, and then you can forget about it because it literally has nothing to do with law school. And all you got to do is get past nothing to do with law school. Literally, you won't even think about it again. So if you could just get past that one part, just know the doors is gonna open. Somebody will pick you up. You gotta give it to God. Give it to God and let it go because what's meant for you is gonna come for you, and nobody can stop that.
And that may mean now, one of the, and saying what she just said is what's meant for you is meant for you. But that what's meant for you may not be comfortable, may not be convenient. Since I was on a call with someone earlier today. He was like, I got into law school, but that means I have to move.
Mm.
Should I just do a gap year and try to apply to law school again? I
Mm.
told him, I said, fam, this journey is all about inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
You don't take that no, you don't take that acceptance and just throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
This journey gonna
And why would you apply if you wasn't gonna move?
yeah.
Is what I want to know. You knew it was a possibility, so now that you got that door open, you should probably walk through it.
I mean, because let's be honest, on this journey, it ain't nothing comfortable about it.
Mm-mm.
And sometimes
It's not.
being uncomfortable is where the realest growth really happens. And
Mm-hmm.
so for you, what would you say was the biggest, like when you look back, you're like, dang, man, that really changed me. What's some of the biggest changes for you where you was like, woo, boy, huh,
Trial. You know, you can do all the practicing you want, but you're not an attorney, so you don't have to do your own trial, prep for it, and get out there in front of that judge, and go through the rules of evidence, all this stuff that you've learned, and actually put it into practice. It's a big deal, and it's not for the weak. So, and you got different types of attorneys. Everybody doesn't do trial work. I think criminal attorneys and family law attorneys are in court the most. Outside of that, you probably won't see much of a courtroom. Maybe PI, but not often. Um, and PI is personal injury, but not often. So most fields are not court based. But the one I chose is, and it humbled me to have to learn how to do this and find my voice and find my style. Oftentimes Black women are looked at as angry or aggressive anyway. And so you just kind of you're in front of these older judges, these white judges, and it kind of feels judgmental from time to time. And you got to keep going. You got to be yourself, and as long as you know the law and you're following the rules, you'll be fine. I dealt with a lot of what's it called? I can't even think of the term. What's it called when you imposter syndrome? That's it. I dealt with a lot of that, not feeling as qualified as my counterparts. Um, and you overcome that by facing your fears head on. You just got to get out there in the field and do what you do and be the best at it. On top of that, they can't stand that. Be really good at it. On top of that, yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Hmm.
Hey, I want to thank you so much for coming on live again. For those out there who may have missed Bible study, hey, we giving you word of encouragement over here. We dropping scriptures over here, y'all. I want
Hmm.
you to go ahead and close us out with one final word of encouragement for people out there who are fighting for their journey, going through the hardships, trying to make it come true.
It's worth it. It's worth it. There's an end to all of this, and when you see it, it's no feeling like accomplishing something that it took you, that long or that much energy to accomplish. So you just got to keep going and just know that when you get there, it's gonna feel so good. Mhm.
Sis, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Hey, and you guys
you.
continue to share her stories and her content. She's continuing to make differences in the lives and impacting a lot of people out there. Make sure and follow her. And
Mhm.
also, sis said, hey, man, she's looking for some free labor. So go ahead, holler at your
Yeah,
girl.
I
And
definitely
more
am.
than holler. She gave you guys the invitation. Now go ahead and make it happen. Sis, thank you so much for joining us. And you
Mhm.
guys continue for your lawyer dreams. Peace and blessings and have a good night.
You do
Thank you, Joanna.
the same. Thank you. Bye bye.